Welcome to Chasing Greatness. That is the name of our podcast. It has a little bit of a ring to it, if you ask me. I don't know about you, but all my life, I have wanted to try my best to be great. I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be, he was okay. I really want to try to do my very best. And so many times I fall short. And I talk to leaders all the time. I talk to people all the time who are not necessarily in a leadership position. And they all tell me that they struggle when it comes to maximizing their potential, reaching their potential impact even beyond that. And so we have created a podcast to try to help the people that listen to win. And because I think winning is important. I'm a competitive guy. I love competing. When I was a kid, I played sports all the time, all the way up through college, actually. And I remember some of the people that had the most influence on me were my coaches. And little did I know that there would be an opportunity someday to grow up and not just to speak to people and help people, but to serve as a coach. And so we get to coach a lot of people out in the marketplace and businesses and all those kinds of things. It's a lot of fun. But on this podcast here, I think it's an opportunity for us to do some coaching as it relates. And what's the old saying that usually the preacher is preaching to himself the loudest. And so I'm not a preacher, but I'm gonna share some things with you that I think I need to hear as well often. And so we got a little bit of a new format here as we begin this new week. We're here in the middle of January. The resolutions are out the window, all that stuff. If you make those, I'd rather live with a plan and a strategy than a New Year's resolution. So, I'm trying to do that. But I got a little bit of a different format. And so I'm going to take just a minute here today and kind of tell you where we're going. I think it's important to almost play flight attendant here and just say, this is what you need to expect and what we're going to do going forward. So I'm excited to announce that we're going to be doing more content this year. And I hope you're excited about that as well. I appreciate so much those of you who have listened and have downloaded. You followed us. We're here on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes, all the places where you get your podcasts. If you want to watch, you can do that video format here. And so we're going to be, instead of just once a week this year, we're actually going to make a little shift here, and we're going to be putting out content 3 times a week, and actually more than that, but 3 times a week officially with a podcast that'll be videoed as well. And so for the foreseeable future, we're going to give you a Monday, Wednesday, Friday deal. And I'll go ahead and kind of tell you what the theme of each one of those is going to be. Because again, I want to go back to that coaching mindset. We're going to help you on Mondays. Always, we're going to talk about winning at work. On Wednesdays, we're going to do, we'll call it Win at Home Wednesday. We think it's important to win at home as well. And then on Friday, we're going to do an episode that'll hopefully help you just win at life. It'll balance the two, but it'll get out into some of the areas of your life that are really important. And so we're excited about that. I hope you'll continue to spread the word. You'll know people who need some coaching, and you get a chance to have some free coaching here. So hopefully it'll benefit you as much as it's going to benefit me. I told you that we're going to do a little bit more content than that. We're actually on the other couple of days a week. We'll put out a blog one day a week, and then we're also planning on doing a book review every week. We reviewed Mark Miller's Smart Leadership last week. We put that out. It was great. That was launch week for his new book, Smart Leadership. I think I have a copy back here on the shelf. Got the orange book back there, 4 choices to help you scale your impact. I've already read it. I'm excited about that. Shout out to Mark there. But I want to go back to Mark here for just a second, not about smart leadership, but several years ago, Mark shared with me an old Latin term that I'd never heard before. It was the word Quantuvis. You've heard me speak about this before on the podcast last year. The word Quantuvis literally means as great as you choose. As great as you choose. I think that's awesome when I think about this idea of chasing greatness, that we have this opportunity to choose to be great. Now, I want to do a few things here on this podcast to remind us that greatness is not necessarily what everybody else says greatness is. So we're going to define that and talk about that. But I love the idea that I have some say-so in how great I can be, and just like you do. And And that's pretty cool when you think about it. It's not left up to everybody else. It really is on you to not just want to be great, but to really chase it, to pursue it, to say you want to, you're going to take your life to the next level, or to level it up, as we say sometimes. So I've had a chance to be around greatness a few times in my life. I remember years ago, my wife and I were living out in Fort Worth, and we had an opportunity to have a pianist, a person who plays the piano, who was in the Van Cliburn competition. If you don't know what that is, look it up. They came and they played. We were at an event where they played, and I've heard people play the piano before, but this was one of the best people in the world that was playing the piano that night. And let's just say it was mind-blowing to hear true greatness sit at a set of keys on a piano. I remember one night I was in Chicago back in the late 80s. Most of you weren't even born then. I had an opportunity just on a whim to go to a basketball game. There was this guy who was a rookie named Michael Jordan. They're playing that night. They happened to be playing the Warriors that night when we went to the game. And the Warriors were better than the Bulls at the time. And it got down to the last minute of the game, and the Warriors were ahead 11, 12 points, if I recall. And Michael Jordan goes crazy in the last 1 minute of the game. He scored 10 points. They ended up losing by a couple, but it was one of the craziest things I ever saw. I thought, this guy's different than everybody else. And, it was a precursor to a career where many would say he's the best basketball player ever. We could debate that, but he was really pretty amazing as a basketball player. I've been around people who are just, when you get near them, you just think there's something different. They're just at a different level than other people. I've seen people in family life do that. I've seen people in business life. I've been around some business leaders. I just think they are thinking about things at a level that others aren't thinking about it. And I've been around sports teams that have achieved just at incredible levels. Greatness is a pretty cool thing when you see it. Now, sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that greatness is all about being bigger, stronger, faster, having the best business card or the biggest bank account. And that really is not what we're going to talk about on our podcast. If you've been listening for a while, and many of you have, I think we've passed the 10,000 download marker just recently, so I'm excited about that. We're headed toward 100,000. That really is our goal this year, is to just continue to spread the word. But if you've been listening for a while, you know that when we talk about greatness here, it really is not about how much you have or how strong you are or really even what you achieve. Those things are important. I think they're important for us to try to maximize our potential, as we said. But when we think about greatness, we really do want to remind everybody who listens that being great is about helping other people be great. It really is this mindset where you're trying to help other people win. You're not just trying to win yourself. You're really trying to help other people win. And I love the way Jesus, you guys, if you listened before, I read the Bible, and I think Jesus was best leader that ever lived. And one of the things that Jesus said was that if you want to be great, you have to serve, which is really countercultural. It's counterintuitive in the world we live in, the environment we live in. Everybody that I'm around, not everybody, but a lot of people I'm around, they say you really need to do what's best for you. And we see this all the time. If you start looking outside of your immediate circle, let's say you got some great people around you, that's awesome. But if you don't, you just start listening to the media and you listen to, what's going on in culture, you'll see people all about themselves. They're grabbing for glory and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a dangerous trap. I think it's very important for us to understand that we're not just here for ourselves. In fact, there was a book written a few years ago called The Purpose-Driven Life. It was written by a guy named Rick Warren. And I love the first sentence of the book. He says, it's not about you. I think that's just a really good reminder that our life is not about us. So as we go through this journey together, I want to remind us that it really is not about us being great. It's about us stewarding our lives in a great way, but it's also about us helping other people be great. I have a friend of mine, I've mentioned him before, a guy named Shane, who his mindset about his life is that he wants to every morning when he wants to wake up and think like an offensive lineman in football. We got the playoffs going on right now. They're exciting. It's a lot of fun. But the games were on this last weekend. I watched those games. It was awesome. But the truth is, as I listened to the sports stories, even this morning, there was nothing about any offensive lineman at all. Their names were not in the paper. Their names were not on the news. They're not talking about them on the networks. They're talking about the wide receivers and the running backs, yes, but mostly they're just talking about the quarterbacks. They're talking about the quarterbacks and the coaches. Well, the truth is, if we're going to be the best we can be, I love Shane's mindset that we show up every day like an offensive lineman. We're making holes so other people can score. We're not even thinking about scoring so much. So today, as you think about your life and you think about trying to be great, I want to just remind you that your life is going to be greater if you help more people get to where they need to go. And so that'll be some of the stuff that we talk about. I'm fired up about that. So I want to remind you just of a couple of things here as I sort of introduce this idea. And then Wednesday, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you those three areas, how to win at work, how to win at home, and ultimately how to win at life. I'm going to give you a key in each one of those, and then we'll unpack them as we go forward. And I'm really excited about our content. I think it's going to be really great, to use our word there, when it comes to trying to help us get better at these three areas that really matter to each one of us. But before we go today, let me just remind you of a couple of things. First of all, I believe, and you may or may not believe this, but I do believe that all of us are created in the image of God. That's what the Bible actually teaches. It says that we're image bearers of God. Now, whether you believe that or not, that your life really is a miracle. And truthfully, I don't know, I've really never met anyone who says that their life is here because of them. I mean, it's like you had to come from somewhere, and no one I know claims that they came from themselves. That's delusional. I mean, that's just not, and nobody says that. Like, everybody knows I got here somehow. And the truth is, you get to choose where you believe you came from. But I really do believe that we were created, and years ago I got a chance to teach biology, which was pretty crazy when you start looking at all the systems in the body and how they work together, and your eyes and your senses and things that just our physical makeup. It's just a miracle when you think about it. And then you start getting out into creation and the planets and the solar systems and the Earth itself and stuff going on. It's pretty amazing when you start looking at all that. And so I would just challenge you to ask yourself the question, if you've been given this life, you've been given life from somewhere. And so I believe it's from God, but you can believe what you want to. But if you've been given this life, aren't you somewhat responsible for stewarding it in a correct way and trying to use it in a responsible way? We talk about being responsible with the planet, being responsible with the climate, and being responsible, the way we act toward people, all those kinds of things. There's a lot of places where we want to be responsible, but really when it comes down to it, when you think about this life you've been given, that you are an image bearer, I think it's very important for us to try to steward that in a great way. And then the last thing I would just say today is just, how do you define greatness? And that would be my challenge to you as you begin to think about even listening to our show, as we talk about winning at work, winning at home, and ultimately winning at life. It really is going to go back to, how do you define greatness? And I like that definition that Jesus gave us. The person who wants to be great needs to learn to be the servant, to be a servant leader, if you want to think about it that way. Nobody talks about servant leadership. It's not really very popular these days, but I think it's very important for us to not be self-serving, but to be serving. And I'll just leave you with this thought. The times in my life where I've been self-serving, where I've thought about myself, and I have no problem thinking about myself. I love to think about myself. I'm no different than every other person I've ever met. There are people who say they don't like to think about themselves, but everybody, we have this tendency, this temptation to be self-absorbed. And I love that challenge to say, let's lay ourselves aside, literally, to be selfless and to live in a sacrificial way so others can benefit from that. So I don't know how you're doing this week, but or as you go into this new week, but I just would challenge you to be not self-serving this week, but to serve, to think about, how can I help others score this week? How can I help others win? And I think as you do that, you're going to find a lot of joy, and you're going to be a lot more fun to be around. When I have been serving, when I have had the mindset of a person who wants to help others win or score, however you want to say that, it just brought me so much more joy, and it's made me a lot more fun to be around. The people that are closest to me can tell you when I'm thinking correctly, I'm not that bad, but when I'm not, it's kind of hard. So I'm guessing you're no different, and the people around you could validate that same mindset. So I'm excited to to launch into our new little season here. We're really excited about helping you win at work, at home, and in life. And ultimately to chase greatness, to be as great as you can. You really do get to be as great as you choose. Greatness is not about having the most. It's not about being the best. It's not about even, the position. It really is about having this compelling reason to get up every day and to serve others. And I think if you can do that, you'll be in a really great place. So I hope you'll join us Wednesday. I got some really cool stuff that we'll share with you, a little framework on how to think about these three things. And then again, next week we'll get into unpacking those, and then we'll have something special for you this Friday as well. But looking forward to a lot more content this year. Help us share the message of what we're doing. We're going to really try to grow the channel this year, and you can help us do that. You're the ones who know so many people, and hope you'll hit the like button. Leave your comments. We love it when you do that. Anything we can do for you, please reach out. You can connect with us there. But we're excited for a new year. Hope you are as well. Let's be as great this year as we can be. We get to choose. Let's keep chasing greatness.